You need to handle that.
All right. That's fine.
You need to handle that.
I called her earlier, but I had to hit her back after.
Welcome back to the 307 podcast, guys. How'd everything go without me?
It went good, Bob.
Y'all hold the fort down?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough, but
We tried, but it is difficult.
Well, according to Corn, something's wrong with me.
I don't know what's wrong with him. He's mad.
No,
He's been very combative lately.
There is something off.
He was
with Chad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He was combative when you were gone too, and it's carried over into you're returning. But
Negative.
yeah, you know it's different without you here. It's not good.
Well, I'll tell you, I'd be mad if I gained 8 pounds too.
Wow. The crowd.
No wonder Corn's mad. Can you imagine gaining 8 pounds? I mean, that's like, there's an 8-pound dumbbell. That's like carrying, that's like sticking an 8 pound dumbbell in your shirt pocket and walking around with it all
He
day.
literally just moved.
What's that have to do with anything?
Hey, ask him. He just moved.
No, I ain't making no excuses. Don't be saying I'm making no excuses.
I mean, a pound or two is one thing. That's
That's a turd.
You had a big lunch. When you gain a dumbbell increment,
Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree.
You went up in brace sizes.
I wouldn't have counseled you publicly like this if it wouldn't have
Yes,
been for
you would have. You look for any dang reason to.
If it wouldn't have been for the fact you made this accusation against me,
Well,
that
it's
there
true.
was something wrong with me.
There's something going on with you. You're being drab.
what?
He's being drab. Even his facial expression isn't of Chad. Like he walks in like,
Well, Bubba, I've been getting after it, man. I've been getting after it.
that's what's wrong
Yeah,
with
yeah,
you.
you know what your problem is. You ain't never got after it. You don't understand. You don't understand what the crap happens to a man when he gets after it, son.
You ain't never acted like this.
That
You ain't never acted like this.
He ain't never got after it.
Yeah.
You ain't been around me since I've been getting after it.
By golly,
You know?
I've been around you for a good minute.
Dang, this hoist is good.
It is.
That's hitting the spot
Oh,
today,
yeah.
boy.
After that
It's
run.
hitting the spot. With that darn, with that coffee too.
Oh boy.
Look, I ain't the only one that does hoisting coffee. I've seen many people post on Instagram that they've tried that and they have confirmed.
Many people?
Yeah, I have. I've seen many people do it.
Like M-I-N-I?
Mini
And they have confirmed it is a good combination.
dwarves been doing it. Midgets.
Before we get into the show today, we do want to introduce to you guys our hydration partner here at 307 Project, Drink Hoist. You can find them at drinkhoist.com. You can also find them now in many of your large grocery stores.
Mini.
Many of your large.
I have
Publix.
seen Publix.
Yeah.
I do a lot of trading at Publix.
Yeah, I think even Walmart's got some.
Yeah.
Some Walmarts.
Food City. Kroger.
Hoist, we've been using Hoist for years and years. And it's getting on summertime now. And I'll tell you what, if you guys live out in Texas, where I just came from, I don't know what's wrong with you to be living out there. But you better be drinking some darn electrolytes if you're living out there, especially. It's going to get hot around here. It hadn't hit yet, but it's getting on summertime. Hydration's probably the most important part or element of keeping you going, whether you're out there getting after it, working on a job site outside, working with your hands, running, mountain biking, whatever it is you're doing, you got to stay hydrated, all right? Now, Hoist is IV level hydration. What that means is it absorbs in your body very easily. It doesn't upset your stomach. I can testify to that. Has everything in it that you need to keep going: calcium, magnesium, potassium, 70 calories, 0 preservatives, made right here in the good old United States. They're amazing people with an awesome brand. And if you've enjoyed the show, go get you some Hoist. DrinkHoist.com. And I promise you, you won't be disappointed. So thank you, Hoist.
Now, it's for people who run now. Now, you don't be drinking Hoist if you ain't done nothing. Like Blake and Corn, that they just walked and came in here and got
8 pounds.
Yeah, and then they want to drink a Hoist for that. Now, it's for people who get after it.
Hoist ain't for people that are getting fat.
That's who it's for.
You're not going to round me up, Chili.
It's for people.
I'll let Chad round me up. You're not.
Oh, I'm not trying to rile you up. I am just saying, like,
you couldn't drink Hoist with a bowl of chili.
I'm just saying, don't act like it's the same thing now. You have to get after it.
Well, y'all hide and watch me drink this dang Hoist.
Hit a lap
hide
of it.
and watch.
Hit a
Hide
lap.
and watch.
If
Put the
you-
camera on him.
If you are in process of unfatting yourself, Hoist is an option for you. All right. If you're already unfat and you're out there running, getting after it, Hoist is an option for you. But if you are fatting yourself, do not disgrace this brand in this beverage. Do not disgrace this beverage. All right?
It's not like a Coca-Cola that you can drink when you're fat.
Come on, keep on going, bub.
Disappointed in you, Corn. All right. Well, so I have been out. Man, we're getting back to the old roots, ultra running.
Are you?
On this podcast right
Okay,
here,
on the
man.
podcast.
Yeah, man. What do you mean on this? In my life, too.
Like I said, not in general.
Like, you going back to start training and stuff?
Yeah.
Like
the
more
crap-
than you have been?
Who the crap do you think I am, Bubba?
More than you have been?
These cats ain't on the same page,
Nah,
man.
These guys.
Chili has clearly chose a side today.
You guys are
And it
way
happened just
behind.
like that.
It
It
did.
happened just like that.
He missed Chad so much, now he's kissing his butthole.
Yeah.
I did miss him.
You know, running does, for me personally, it just makes everything in life better. It enhances everything. I mean, as long as you don't become obsessed with it and go crazy about it, it makes your day better. It makes you a better husband, a better friend. It just makes everything in life better. And, you know, running is something that the Lord made me good at for some reason, you know? And it's my hobby, you know? And I've took a few years off from it. But yeah, I'm about ready to get back in it. Are you? Yeah, I really am. I had a blast out there, man. I had a blast out there in Texas. And I got to go out there and run just because running is my hobby, right? And I think that allowed me to have a lot of fun out there. And so the race that we're talking about today is now well known across the social media channels. And I saw a lot of people, the race I'm talking about has indeed become the pinnacle of mainstream ultra running. I mean, I don't know of any other race that topped it so quickly right out the gate. I mean, BPN had over, I think at one point, 16,000 people.
That's crazy.
Watching their live Instagram channel at the top of every hour. So it is literally the pinnacle of mainstream ultra running. The race we're talking about is the Go One More Ultra, put on by Bear Performance Nutrition, our friend Nick Bear and his team out in Austin, Texas. And it's a very unique event, very well-run, clean, nice event. It's unique in a sense of that it's kind of just what Nick and his team wanted it to be. It's a place for people to come out and run and push themselves, and he was able to draw in some a good crowd of running influencers, popular runners to be there. It's a place for people to get inspired and you know, that type of stuff, you know. It is not a backyard ultra, although it has elements of a backyard ultra because it is held on a private farm. But it doesn't follow the same stringent rules that you would see in most backyard ultras. Like, you know, as soon as you have media on the course, it no longer falls within the realm of the original concept of backyard ultra that was created by a man named Gary Cantrell, Lazarus Lake. So there are a lot of stringent rules. At Laz's Lakes, there's no aid at all on course. On this course, you did have cooling stations at every mile, coolers of ice water where you could cool yourself down. Original backyard ultra, no one can get you off the course. I mean, if you're injured or dead or whatever, like, you have to figure out how to get off the course yourself. I remember,
if you're dead, you gotta figure out how to get yourself
I remember
back.
one time,
If you're dead.
the year that I was out at Biggs, which is the world championship that is held at Lazarus Lake or Gary Cantrell's property there in Bell Buckle, Tennessee. I remember a dude, a French dude, awesome man, ultra runner. He had a significant injury to his leg, and it probably took him like 2.5 hours to get back to camp, and Laz wouldn't let anyone go help him. The runners were coming in, they were like, hey, this dude can barely walk, and Laz wouldn't let anyone go help him.
He's an odd bird.
Oh yeah.
He's legit is what he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the most legit race director, like, of all time.
Yeah, he don't make compromises.
No.
He's been doing it for a while, ain't he?
He is legit, okay? So it does borrow elements of that because it is on a private farm, but it's its own unique kind of pieces that they've created a race. BPN has created this race to be what they want it to be, right? And it's also not a last man standing race. I think it could be a last man standing race, but they have decided to allow the option for runners to basically split the win up, however that works, but that's an element that they have decided to make a part of their race. So it's a little bit about the race. It is another element that it does borrow from the last man standing race would be the 4.16667 mile loop, which totals up per hour, which totals up to 100 miles every 24 hours. Yeah. So it's kind of pulled these different pieces from kind of these different styles of races. Yeah, it was a really, really cool environment, and I enjoyed being out there. I really did. And what I really want to get into, I can tell you guys about my race experience, whatever questions that you guys have, but what I want to really move toward at some point in the conversation and get into is the dynamic between the mental aspect and the physical aspect in terms of racing or challenging yourself in any physical, sports arena, right? Mental versus physical. Which one has more weight? How they kind of would balance out in the scales, right? So, you guys have any questions about my race experience at the BPN Go One More Ultra?
Well, Blake scoffed at that.
Well, it's the way he's asking it.
No, it's a serious question. I mean,
well, I want to know, what was it like to do a running race again? It's been a long time for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the 307 trail race you did in March or whatever, I mean, that you can't discount that. You raced there. But before that, it's been a long time since you've done just a public race.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I loved it, man. I had a good time. I loved being able to talk to people out there, which is one of the great things about that format. And then also, I mean, I only ran 80. I think I went 84 miles. I don't know how many hours I went, but, even within that distance that I ran, I also, had to push myself. Like I had to have conversations with myself in my head, and had to really manage some problems that came up. You know what I mean? And troubleshoot those. And obviously those problems presented themselves much earlier in this race than they would have presented themselves, when I'm tuned up and in real running shape. But they're the same types of problems that you kind of have to work through. They're going to come up usually at some point. So I loved it, man. I really did. I loved being out there just again, for the sake of running and for the sake of being able to challenge myself and talk to people, meet new people, and watch the couple of guys that were, and girls that were tuned up, like watch them throw down once it got late into the race. I mean, it's my favorite race to spectate. You guys know I'm not much of a spectator. I've never been one to watch football, NASCAR, any of these sports. But, man, I can watch some cats duke it out in a last man standing, type of format. I really enjoy watching that. You kind of get hooked on it.
What took you out?
So the first thing that started to kind of give me fits was my quads, which is really weird because my quads are usually bulletproof, but it's because they're usually bulletproof when I'm training because I'm always running in the mountains. And that, shock and impact of a lot of downhill running is really what bulletproofs your quads. But since I haven't been running for going on about a year now, more than maybe 12 to 16 miles a week. And actually a lot of my running I've been doing now has just been on the road. And so my quad started really getting painful, like not cramping up, but just hurting like the dickens, son. But of course you can manage that with some naproxen or some ibuprofen or something like that. And so that physically that was kind of the first thing, but the heat out there was insane, man. Like 98, 99 degrees during the day. I talked about the cooling stations on the course. Like, legit, that was probably necessary. It probably was. For most of the people out there running. It was that hot. I don't know that I've ever ran a race hotter than that. Like, seriously. You couldn't even sit out there in it.
Like some of those days from the Rite this past year.
I don't know. I don't know if I could say it was worse out
really
there. Because it's totally exposed. I mean, that area out there is just basically grassland with these little scrub oaks, these little live oaks that kind of grow along the water. They're little, but they don't provide much shade even when you're in them. So, and then I looked at the temperature. It was an hour or more after dark. It was pitch dark, had been dark for a while. It was still 90 degrees because I was running through the night, and I was like, I'm overheating because I was looking forward to the night because I thought, well, at least it'll cool down into the 80s, and I won't have to hit these watering stations anymore, these cooling stations anymore, and but I was overheating even at night. And so as I was running through the night, I knew that when that sun came back out and it got back up to 98, 99 degrees, I knew my body wasn't gonna play with that. Not in the shape that I'm in. I just knew it wasn't going to play with that. So I knew that was a reality. But I kept on going all the way through the night anyways. And then that sun came back out, and it got hot early, obviously. And it started to get pretty hard to eat. And I was still eating just little bites of stuff here and there. But eventually I got to the point where I would even eat just a half a banana, and I would feel like I was going to puke it back up. And so I switched over and ate a gel. And I don't know. I think it was one of those Huma gels that have the electrolytes in it
Chia
or something.
seeds and
Yeah.
stuff.
And I ate that thing, and like 30 minutes later, both my hands started to swell up real big. I don't know if it threw my electrolytes off or if it could have nothing to do with the gel, but both my hands started to swell up real big. And then I went out on the last loop that I ran, and I just started getting super dizzy, man. And as you guys know, if you're experienced at all doing endurance sports or being out in the backcountry, you do not play with the heat. Yeah. Like the heat is not something that if your body's telling you, nah, you're not conditioned for this. Like you're not in good enough shape to deal with this heat right now. You don't just push through that.
Yeah.
And when you start getting dizzy, your electrolytes are off, you're experiencing some significant swelling in your hands or feet, that's time for you to just say, okay, yeah, we're gonna just start walking here.
Is there anything other than the obvious things like the cooling stations and the ice waters that you use to deal with the heat?
Conditioning. I think just being in better shape. I mean, I made fun of you for gaining 8 pounds, but I could probably stand to lose 10, 15 pounds.
Right.
So it's just being in better shape is really how you, in my opinion, other than the obvious things, right? Putting ice in your hat, everybody was doing that, But the guys and girls that were able to manage that heat, well, I categorize the obvious thing as like wearing a hat with a sunshade on it, wearing a UV protective shirt, not allowing yourself to get sunburnt. Like all that's the obvious stuff, right? So all the guys and girls that were able to manage that heat into the second day and through the second day did all the obvious things, and they were trained up and prepared for this event. Specifically.
I got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's conditioning is a big one. But, yeah, I would say, ultimately that's kind of the story of, how my body just degraded over that, relatively short amount of time.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty happy that I got 84 miles on pretty much, zero training. So I'm pretty happy with that. Yep.
What direction do you think ultra running is moving as a whole, and do you like it? Because it's interesting what you said about it being mainstream.
Yeah.
Like this was the pinnacle of mainstream ultra running. For the sake of the discussion, my opinion is that ultra running will never be truly mainstream. Like the true definition of that word.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
Yeah, like marathon.
Yeah, it's never going to be that. First of all, it's too difficult. I mean, anything truly difficult enough will never be that mainstream because it's not accessible to the masses. Mm-hmm. But it is gaining in popularity and becoming more mainstream with companies like BPN holding races and promoting it, and that's cool. But do you think it's losing some of its original character?
Yeah, man. So I'm really glad you asked that question because it's something that I've been thinking about a lot over the last couple of days. especially after being out there. And by the way, any of my commentary here is absolutely nothing against that race and the event
good
that
race,
they put on. I mean, it was a great event. And I think it's good to show this ultra running to the masses because it gets a lot of people out and moving. Like, how many people were watching of the 16,000 that were watching their live stream went out and did a run yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
Like, a lot. Probably thousands of people went out and did a run yesterday that wouldn't have went running. And that's good, man. You know, the more people running, well, that's not only better for the sport, but it's better for just society as a whole, for our communities, for everyone's health. Like, so that's amazing. But I started really looking at ultra running in 2017. And I don't remember if my first race was in 17 or 18. I can't remember.
I don't know.
It may have been 2017. So back then, you know, it was very underground, kind of. You know, like, not a lot of people were looking at it. There weren't a ton of races out there, and the races that were out there were like the first race I ran, for instance. There was no media.
Yeah.
Like, nobody was taking pictures even on their own cell phones. Like, guys were running with a Nestle water bottle in Skechers.
And not to be cool.
No, not to be
like,
cool.
If you see somebody doing that now, most likely they think it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I'm not saying that's for sure a rule. But you see it now, you do it for Instagram. You have a gimmick that you want to run with.
Going against the grain on purpose.
Yeah, but like back in the day, especially even before 2017, 2018.
Yeah, this has been going on since
that's
the
just
80s,
what you did.
Essentially, yeah.
You know, so.
Mm-hmm. At the first race that I ran, the prize was a loaf of bread. So, you know, I'm into that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So that was the culture, like, and yes, that is changing and has changed significantly. And there's a big part of me that, yeah, I don't like that. I wish it was still more just like gritty, you know what I mean? And not so much watched and you know, so much gear and all this stuff. There's a part of me that doesn't like that. And I think it is, and it definitely has lost a tremendous amount of the nature. Yeah. You know, it's the nature that it was. You know, I think the good part is you can still find, if you are a real ultra runner, like this is what you do, man. You know, you run, and you've been doing it a long time. You can still find races that have still preserved that culture, although I think they're few and far between. So do I not like it? I think there are parts of it that I don't like, but there are also parts of it that are good. You know, one good thing about the ultra running going more mainstream and having so many more eyes on it is now there are so many more opportunities for elite runners to actually make a living doing it. You know, there's opportunities now for elite runners to be compensated for their effort. And I think they should be. Like, I think that, you know, you look at a guy who comes out and wins a Big's Backyard or a, you know, a true last man standing backyard race or a 100-mile race, and you look at that guy has put in thousands of hours of work, and he has thousands of dollars invested into that, not only in training and nutrition and gear, but in travel, you know, in food on race day and all that stuff. And you know, I think I can make a case that it's nice for those guys and girls to at least be able to maybe break even, you know, on the work they're putting in through sponsorships, or, you know, you see some races now that are able to give away a cash prize of, you know, $10,000 or something like that.
Well, it's changed because more people do it.
Yeah.
That's the reason. If the same amount of people had always done it today, it would still be the same. So people get into it. They really like it. They have this platform, and they say, this is really good. You should do it too. And other people get into it. So, like, what you're weighing is where it's at now. Is it worth all the extra people that are now doing it? You know,
I do think it's changed disproportionately in this direction, even without that's not requisite to the amount of new people.
Yeah.
I think it's changed partly just because culture has changed and social media has changed and things like that. I mean, are there more people doing it now than there was 10 years ago? Yes. Is there that many more people doing it now? No. I think part of why it's changed is just the, you know, there were efforts probably made about the time that we got into it to make it more popular. There was people invested in the community that for some reason just wanted it to be more mainstream. I don't really know why. I wouldn't care about that. I mean, it just is what it is. But there were people who, race directors, everything, that really wanted to push it. And that's why they started offering a little bit of prize money. And then when social media was kicking up about that time, you know, you saw an opportunity, both race directors and runners, for like, hey, all these companies sell running shoes. Like, there's a few athletes that they have, you know, that represent them. Like, why can't I be one of them, you know? So they started going for that. And then it was almost just like an idea, I think, from the athletes to use their social media status to get sponsorships. I mean, that's more important than your race results, really, is your social media presence and following.
100% it is.
So, you know, it all was like a culmination of everything, because also 10 years ago, people started becoming Instagram influencers just in general.
Yeah.
And some people saw an avenue of like, man, I can do that with running. You know, like if I post about doing this crazy crap, like people ain't even heard of a 100-mile race. So it was just this weird combination of everything. And, you know, are there more people doing it? Yeah, but it's just all of that has resulted in more eyeballs watching it. And it allowed all those opportunities that are just natural. You can't, you know, you can't stop that and shouldn't try to stop it. But
no.
It comes along with unfortunate things like, you know, some of the biggest races in the world are being bought out by the Ironman brand. You know.
Yeah,
like,
and I would say another unfortunate.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that is, and I think another unfortunate aspect of the growth of the sport is how difficult it is to get into some of these races now. Like,
oh yeah,
there are so many races now that 10 years ago,
yep,
would never even fill up, and now they're, you know, it might take you 3, 4, 5 years just to get into the race because so many of them have had to go to a lottery system.
What do you mean they're being bought out by the Ironman brand?
So Ironman is a brand, not an event.
Right.
Ironman is a company.
It's a company, yeah.
That puts on the 2.4 mile swim, 100, you know,
right,
that distance triathlon. And Ironman has grown so much. Like, triathlon's a rich man's sport. It really is. Like, but that crowd grew so much about 10 years ago. I mean, whenever it really blew up. I don't know when the peak of triathlon racers was, but it's kind of degraded a little bit since then. But they got huge and started making so much money. I mean, it was just very lucrative. The entry fee's a lot, and you sold all this merchandise, and you sold Ironman hat, and they had so many races like that. Think about the 3 of 7 project. We are race directors, right? We have 2 races a year. Well, Ironman...
Courtney and Brooke are really
Well, yeah, you get it. 3 of 7 project in partnership. But like Ironman, between full Ironmans and half Ironmans would have hundreds of... I mean, I don't even know how many races a year. I mean, think about it. All the cities that host them and every weekend and overseas. So they made all kinds of money and were, through their products too, were just a dominant figure in the endurance world, just at large. And I think a few years ago, they just saw an opportunity with ultra running and its relative rise in popularity to say, hey, like we can own these races too. So, like, if there's a race, like UTMB, it's one of the biggest races overseas in Chamonix, France. They said that's one of the most popular races. It sells out every year, a huge wait list. People want to get in it. Like, we can own that. Like, we can buy the rights to that race.
Because now there's eyes on it, which means there's money to be made.
Yep.
Right.
So, like, they can buy that, whatever the figure was. They can say, we own this race now. So then they own it. Any money that comes in for that race, or it's not even just the entry fee, it's a lot of money sold around it.
Right.
So,
you know what's cool though, and why I think we're just now kind of on the cusp of what we would call mainstream ultra running, and we're not actually there yet, is because there's still a big undercurrent of the old, like, original ultra running culture that still exists within the event space. And I saw that this weekend when I read through some of the comments from people on the from the Go One More Ultra posts, and people were commenting like, history has been made, this has never been done before, like, these guys are untouchable and all, but that shows me that there's this huge undercurrent that still exists that nobody still knows about. Like, nobody really knows about Harvey Lewis running 104 hours, like running for 5 days straight.
Yeah.
Like, so it's cool that the true, like, die-hard dudes that, we looked up to when we first started ultra running, they're still doing it, and they're still doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah,
Nobody really, other than ultra people who are really have been engaged with that community for a long time, really see what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I don't think other sports you can even really point to much that has such a disconnect between, like, who really is the best and who everybody thinks is the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm not going to name any, like, downplay any figure that's, because there's no reason to do that, but, like, some of the most popular runners are not even the best runners. Like, there's no other sport like that. Basketball, LeBron James is the most popular basketball player because he's the best.
Yeah.
That's just how it works, you would think it should normally work. Even like weird sports, a lot of times the Olympics plays into it a lot because swimming's not popular either. But who the dang best swimmers are every year because you see it on the world stage every 4 years. Like Michael Phelps got the recognition for being the best swimmer in the world because he was. And you went out and he showed it to 100 million people every 4 years, But ultra running not being an Olympic sport, all you have to go off of is your Instagram feed.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you never really get to see it being proven. Like, so you can be in the dark of who the best people are, but not even know you're in the dark because you haven't even heard of them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's unique.
You know who one of those guys I think is that I actually have recently listened to quite a few podcast interviews with him, and really enjoyed listening to him. It's a great interviews, man. Johann Steen.
Oh yeah.
You know,
It's a bad dude.
Winner of Vol State. He was on the 24-hour team for, I think, many years. Winner out at Big's Backyard the year that I was out there. And, you know, watching Johan that year that I was out there, his flights had been delayed, like turned around. He's trying to get from Sweden to the U.S., and his flights keep getting turned around, and he basically finally gets to the U.S. The night before the race starts, and he drives through the night, stops at a Walmart, throws some groceries in a basket, drives to the race starts the race, and I'm watching this dude, and he's 50, 60 hours in, whatever, like deep into this thing, hundreds of miles into this thing. He has no crew. He has a little cooler beside his camp chair and a box of clothes. And he comes in, he sits in that chair, he throws a blanket over his head, eats a bite of an apple, drinks some water, lays back, sleeps, gets up and runs. Yeah. And I remember seeing this happen. Like, holy crap, dude. Like, that's just next level, man. And so guys like that, yeah, I mean, they're out there, but they still exist, but nobody knows about them. So that's really cool, man. It's a great sport, man. It's all around a great sport. And then to kind of cap off this conversation about how the culture of the sport is changing, and again, there are a lot of good things about that, but one thing that I was thinking of actually yesterday was how what this is going to do is it's actually going to open up a really cool opportunity for people like us who have been engaged with the sport for a long time to actually host races with a original ultra running feel to it. And I thought that was, I was like going through my mind. I was like, there's going to be a big opportunity in the next 5 years probably if things keep going the way they go for us to be able to basically create an event that just goes back to the original culture and concept of ultra running, and it's going to be totally unique. Yeah. It's going to be the same thing that was done all through the 90s and all through, the early 2000s. But now all of a sudden you're going to be able to create that event that's just raw and gritty and a $20 entry fee with a loaf of bread at the end of the race prize with no media allowed. And people are going to be like, oh, man, that's awesome. And it's like, well, all this is what ultra running, this is the roots of what it is. So I'm looking forward to being able to put an event on like that one day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm super pumped about that. And, Lazarus Lake, the guy we mentioned earlier, Gary Cantrell, he's the creator of the Barkley. This whole last man standing idea was his creation. Genius.
Yeah, like,
how genius is that, dude?
That I don't think he gets enough recognition for that. Like, he invented that. And nobody knows that. Yeah, it's almost like it's looked at as something that's always happened or it's just a normal event. It's like a 100-mile race. No, I mean, it wasn't even that long ago. He invented that, and all of these versions of it are off of Big's Backyard. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what they're all, based off of. So,
and you know what's so cool about him too? Like, he didn't try to trademark that. Like, he doesn't care. Like, he does it his way, the original way, when he's in control of it. Like, I think all the golden ticket races for Biggs have to follow the same rules and the same format. But outside of that, he's just like, yeah, y'all take whatever you want to take from it.
And if you're interested in, if anybody's listening is interested in kind of not the mentality, his mentality and perspective on the last man standing race, I don't know where exactly you can find it, but just look it up. Laz writes a lot, writes stuff down a lot and shares it on some formats. I don't even know where. I've seen it
used
before.
to be Facebook.
Yeah, I've read a lot of his stuff. He's a good writer, and he wrote a piece one time on just the last man standing thing, the idea, and the competition of it, and even the fact that like he went into how people trick themselves into thinking that they'll never quit. And that they, if they time out, they didn't really quit. Like he went into the full thing, and it was so good. Like a lot of people would hate it what he wrote about it, but it was so good. And he's written about a lot of things, and written about the Barkley Marathons, Vol State. So if you're interested in any of that, you can probably find it on Facebook and stuff. But the Last Man Standing piece was so good, and just kind of it. If you just like have a cursory view of it or understanding of it, and you read that, it really gives you a good idea of what he wanted to achieve by even creating the race. So,
and he's getting old now.
Oh yeah,
he's actually
old as crap.
He's actually turned over the job of race director at Barkley. He's no longer he's still at Barkley, I think, and at Biggs. I don't know if he's still directing Biggs or not, but I saw. I think last year was his last year as race director at Barkley.
I mean, I don't know Laz personally, but like that is just your classic. I mean, he's an OG ultra runner. I mean, he's a legend. I mean, he's got it all. It's not like a lot of things are pigeonholed now with ultra running, but he's maintained just the beauty of it throughout his career. Like he was an ultra runner back in the day. He still walks and runs.
He just walked across America like a few years ago.
Constantly. Like he still trains to, he's got a race called Tunnel Hill 100 that's one of the fastest 100-milers you can run. I mean, like, it's kind of one of my dream races. Like, go see how fast I can run 100 there. It's just perfect course. He's got the Strolling Gym 40-miler. It's just a unique, bizarre kind of race on the road that's really hilly as crap and hard. And I mean, those are normal type races, but then he's invented the backyard ultra. He created a race where you run across Tennessee 314 miles. In the pandemic, his ingenuity, he created another race that was totally unsupported and like totally unregistered. Nobody even knew how to do it or sign up for it, that you ran across like Mississippi to Tennessee, and it was 340 miles. And he created the Barkley Marathons, which incorporates orienteering. I mean, that is what we're talking about with old school, classic, no frills ultra running. Mm-hmm. And it's all types, It's just really cool. His whole race catalog, if you will, is just awesome. And it's all the aspects that are really cool. And he invented things, made things popular, does things that nobody else does. I mean, nobody has done.
That's the thing that
nobody has races like that, know. So
it's also made me wonder, because I have been thinking about this so much over the last 2 days. It's made me wonder too, like, what other ideas are out there?
Oh yeah,
like it's got my brain turning. Like, what other ideas are out there to kind of not that I think that I'm the person to carry on that, but how could I be a part of that, creating something unique like he's done so many times, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's got to be there's an idea.
I've got a few ideas.
There. Yeah, there's an idea out there that's like, yeah, man, you could add this to the mix and it'd be totally new.
I have had an idea for a race for about 3 years that I've never seen done, but it would be so hard to pull off. That's what keeps you from doing some of these ideas is how hard it is to pull it off. But he didn't let that stop him. I mean, Barkley Marathons was hard to pull off and get everything you needed to do, but he just freaking did it.
Yeah, he found a way.
Told people to bring him a license plate or whatever, and
He's so legit, dude.
yeah, it's awesome.
He's so legit. So I do want to save some time to get into this conversation about the physical versus the mental. And when you're doing, we'll use an ultra marathon for example. And the reason that I want to get into this conversation is because I think social media has created a narrative that there are, a select number of people out there who are just so mentally tough that they can show up at any time, at any race, at any event, and just put on a clinic. I think people truly believe that, like that exists, that is a thing that, this handful of dudes that have maybe a background of, doing hard things, have trained their mind to a point that, man, if they show up, you better get ready because they're just gonna crush everybody because they're so mentally strong. You know what I mean? And I guess I first want to announce that is a completely false narrative. That just because you have trained your mind in the past and you have built up this mental toughness and you really have your mind and your thinking squared away in terms of how to execute these long, really difficult endurance challenges, that means absolutely nothing if it is not paired with proper physical preparation. And I think people need to understand that. And I just really where this is coming from is, this past weekend, because people know my background and I've gotten to do some difficult things and, I talk a lot about mindset and stuff like this. I think there were so many people who were really picking me as the guy who was just going to come out and just blow this race out of the water, right? And not a single person asked, well, is this your A race? Like, did you train for this? Like, how did you prepare in training for this? They just assumed that because I was so mentally tough, I could just run forever. That's where this is coming from. Like, you guys understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You guys understand how I think people have been misled in this idea?
Why do you think they were, who misled them and why do you think they're misled? Why do you think that's an easy narrative to buy into?
Maybe they're not misled. Maybe it's just what they've chosen to believe.
Well, I think that they just see you win a lot of stuff, and they just assume. They probably didn't ask how you train because they probably just assumed, well, he's coming out here to race. He's probably tuned up. But I do see that people do that.
I think part of why that mentality has gained popularity is because it actually... social media, as negative as it can also be overly optimistic.
Yes.
And it can promote the idea that anybody can do anything. Mm-hmm. If you're just tough enough and buckle down your mind enough, you can win.
That's so good.
Any race.
That's so good.
And it's convinced people of that to the point where they say, my gosh, I freaking can. If I just work on my mindset enough, I can daggum win that race. I can run a sub 2 hour marathon if I just work on my dang mind enough. And what's happened is is it's attractive to people, even if deep down they know it's not true, because it makes everything accessible to everyone. It means you, even finding yourself not very genetically talented for something, it gives you a way to have hope to train for it. Like, because, and I'm not saying just because you can't be the best at something, you shouldn't participate in it. But there are people that get into it with the mindset of, dadgummit, man, I can actually be good at this and make a career out of it on social media.
Yeah.
Because the secret is my mindset. Mm-hmm. And I can't really work on that, the running part of it too much. I'm not going to ever run too much. But, boy, I can run enough and get that mindset right that I can be there. But, I mean, like, that's the thing, man. Social media strips away the need for the actual hard work. Because I think what happens is social media, you get the message, but you don't see the hard work.
Yeah.
You hear the person who has worked hard tell you what their mindset is and how they think of things and what they've done, but you don't see what's been done. You just think, dang, well, Roger that. I can be patient and stay present, and I can do this, and I can learn how to do this, and I can strengthen my mind. But, yeah, it's like all of that is good stuff and works, but it works combined with just an unbelievable amount of real training and hard work.
Yeah. Preparation.
Yeah.
Are you good with the
people are saying the audio's cutting out, but everything's plugged up as it should be.
Okay.
So.
Chili, you defined that. Well, you really nailed exactly what I was trying to get at with that, man.
Really?
Yeah, you did 100%, man. And I just want people to get the people who care, people who are trying, people who do have races and challenges in the future. I want people to get the real truth that a solid mindset without proper physical training will not get you very far.
Yep.
Really, now when you look at that, if we try to flip-flop that and we say proper physical training and the work that goes into that without the mindset won't get you very far. I don't even know that that's a possibility.
Yeah, how do you get the level of training you need with a weak mind?
Exactly. So when you try to flip-flop that, it almost doesn't even work.
Yep.
Because that when you are in the midst of this like grind, the grind of the physical preparation, you're developing your mindset there.
Yep.
To when you do that, when you get to the race, man, like you're not even working on your mindset anymore at the race. You're not learning anything new at the race in terms of mental toughness, right? Because you've learned it all through that physical preparation, everything that you're going to learn. And so I just want people to get the real truth on that and how those two pieces go together. And when you see someone succeed, when you've seen me succeed in the past, when you see other people succeed in the future, when you see people win, the people who win have built both of these aspects intentionally for many of them months and months and months, if not a year or more prior to what you are witnessing them do. It's both pieces, man. It really is. And, another thing that kind of goes along with this is that you do not win on accident. Like, it don't happen.
Yep.
Like, you just don't. No, nobody that's out there who throws down and wins. If they're in a legitimate competitive field, right? The only time you might win on accident is, if you pick the Three Rivers Trail Race in Bamboozle, Alabama. You know what I mean? That's running for the first year. Like, you might win on accident there, all right? But nobody who shows up to a place and actually wins in a field of good competitors that did just happen because they decided to show up, and you cannot base your performance or the performance of anyone else off of their past performances, because this whole cycle of physical preparedness has to happen again and again and again. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I want to throw that out there to everybody who might have been wondering about that.
Well, yeah, one of the biggest mistakes, you just hit on it, is trying to maintain that peaked level of fitness just perpetually. It's so hard not to do it. Like, once you get really tuned up and you hit a race well, you want to hold on to that really bad and not lose any of that fitness. But you just you have to let it go and be okay with the fact that there's peaks and troughs.
What goes into what your lesson of the week was?
Yeah, well, it does. I mean, it really does.
Yeah.
Like, there's gonna be, after you hit a new peak, you can go ahead and just, like, don't let it be a surprise. Plan on getting less fit for a while. Like, take a month off and expect for there to be few months where you're no longer capable of what you just did. I don't really know why it works that way, but I just know that it does. Anytime you reach a new level of fitness like that, you're not just going to continually linearly ascend until you're just some kind of
Dead.
Dead, unbeatable level of fitness. Like, you're going to come down off of that, but that then allows you to reach that new level. You see that in just a miniature training cycle, like the three weeks building mileage and then 1 week down and then that's a common thing, but it really is kind of how it works. You have to take a step back once you've reached that new peak to allow your body to actually really make the adaptations to what you did and then grow from that. So that's hard not to do, though, to try to hold on to what you've done, especially if you reach a decently high level, because you're tantalized by that. You're like, dang, this was good. Like, I did really good. I've been fitter than I've ever been. I want to hold on to that. But that's a good way to, or that's how you see so many people kind of reach a good level and never top it. They're always chasing their old self again. They're always chasing that old, because they didn't really allow the whole process to happen. Like Chad's saying, you're gonna lose some fitness, and then you have to restart again and be okay with that. Be like, well, time for another year-long training block to to do it again.
Yep.
Like, that's the nature of it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
everybody does that. Even people that you don't think do, the professional runners, like, they do that.
They're just not posting in their downtime.
Exactly. I mean, you're not seeing the months where they're not racing and.
Yeah, it has to be. It does. It has to be seasonal.
Yep.
Yeah, cyclical. It has to be. So yeah, the impetus for this conversation is just again coming from the thing that I witnessed of this man who is training for a 1,000-mile kayaking race, who went to do a running race, and a lot of people picked him as the guy to beat. It's like, Okay, buddy. You don't understand. Like,
Well, some of those people are just fans. You said a while ago, for anybody who cares, this is how it really is. Some of the people love everything they've seen you do, and they follow you for that reason. It's just like if Alabama plays Georgia tomorrow and Chili's an Alabama fan, he's going to say Alabama's going to win.
Yeah, he don't care.
He don't know nothing about what went on the practice field.
well, that's true. That's true.
Because I read some of those comments, and some of those people, they are your fans. And that's how they chose to support you. Chad's going to take this home. Chad's the man to beat. Chad, they was just fanning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that Chad can be the man to beat and can be the man to take it home, but I'll let you know. I'll let you know when that's the reality.
Well, like think about it. If it was just based on how hard somebody was, how tough they were, and it had nothing to do with your physical preparation, the winners of these races would look a lot different. I mean, think about that. Like, some of the toughest people in the world, like, they ain't gonna win no ultra. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm talking about legit.
I see exactly what you're saying.
Legitimately, there's some hard dudes out there.
I see exactly what you're
But
saying.
if you asked them to go win a 100-mile race tomorrow, they'd be like, "Are you crazy?
Yeah.
I'm not going to win that." I mean, they would do it, finish it, but they're not going to win.
Yeah.
Like, it takes some specific training,
That's so good, man. That's so good. Yeah, I mean, you talk about, and you can take that any direction you want, but the way I took that in my mind was, the dude that has freaking laid brick all his life, or like the dude that's worked a farm all his life, or like, dude's hard, man. He can get out there in that hot sun, like he does it day in and day out, like you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's the way my mind took it. Like, that's such a good example to kind of give you a different perspective on what we're trying to talk about here. And before we wrap up, I do want to give a shout out to my friends and my brothers in Christ that did serve me out there while I was running, Zach Kirshner and James Campo. It was so cool, man, getting to spend time with them. We've trained with both of those guys on multiple occasions, and man, they just jumped right in. And Zach ran for, I think Zach got 17 or 18 miles in. I don't remember exactly what he got in, but once he was done running, him and James just jumped in, man. They helped me out, took care of me, and Zach's wife, Shannon, her brother was actually there too, and that was the first time I had met him, but he also helped out a lot. So it was just cool to be there with those guys and get to work with them. And to me it's my favorite part of 307 Project is how many people are out there now, since we've been training people in the basic course, the rite of passage, the proving grounds, and the advanced missions that we've ran over the years. How many people are out there now that we have real relationship with? Yeah. Like, I got to show up to this race, and because of 307 Project and because of specifically the training that we put on as a team for people, here are a couple of guys that, like, I can trust implicitly, like completely. Like, I can just trust. These guys are going to look out for me. Like, I know these dudes, man. I know these dudes. And I know they're going to, if something happens, they got my back. Like, these guys know how I operate, and they know how, and I know how they operate because we've suffered together.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How freaking cool is that, man?
At a race in Austin.
Yeah. I mean, nobody else got that, man. And another one of our former students was there too, Hollis Tuttle.
Oh, yeah.
She was in the tent right beside us.
Okay.
That was so cool. She's a OG basic course graduate, like way back in the very beginning.
Yep.
Like I know her. Like not feel like she's my friend.
Yeah.
You know, and I just don't know of any other brand out there that has that type of connection with so many people that we have and that we're fortunate enough to have here at 307 Project, man. And hands down, it is the best part of what what the Lord's allowed us to build over the last, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
That was so cool, man. It really was. Well, boys, I do want to get to the Patreon question this week, and we'll wrap it up on that.
Super chat.
Super chats, yep.
This week's Patreon question is from Alyssa Carroll.
Okay.
I have some questions about biblical fasting, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. The Bible says when you fast, not if you fast, as though it should be a regular practice. Why does the Bible say we should fast? Is there a right or a wrong way to fast? For example, I believe it should be done in secret, just like Matthew 6:16 through 18 says. I've seen quite a few 21 days fast from things like social media, sugar, etc. Am I thinking too deeply about it, and why?
Well, that was really cool how she referenced the instruction that Jesus gave us on fasting in the book of Matthew. But obviously, I think also we can find in Scripture that there are different ways to fast. I think what she referenced is typically known as the Daniel fast, I think.
The 21-day fast is.
Yeah. 21-day fast, yeah. So we see that. Daniel, I think, abstained from any meats or
any pleasurable food.
I don't think he had bread either, did he?
just ate them nasty dang vegetables the whole time, man.
Right.
Might as well not
Broccoli
eat.
and stuff, yeah. So we do see that. I think there are different ways of fasting. And why does Scripture ask us or actually command us to fast? How that works through our physiology, I don't quite know the answer to that, but I think it does produce growth in us spiritually. I think if you look at it, just the mechanics of it, one thing that fasting definitely does, because I have fasted multiple times before, is it does put your flesh in check. It really does that. I mean, it is one way to crucify the flesh. Like if you're struggling with some sin, whether it be lust or social media or cursing or negativity or whatever it is, and you're like, okay, I need to put this flesh in check. Stop feeding it.
Yeah.
Like it will set your flesh back. I think another thing that it does, just from a practical standpoint, is that it opens up time for the believer to pray, to read in Scripture. I know that's something you've talked about in the past before. I think it's you, Blake. When you're fasting, you would take that time that you would generally spend eating, and you would utilize that time either in prayer or in the study of Scripture. So it does open up time for that. You spend a lot of time in your day thinking about food, preparing food, and eating food.
Yeah.
It's a substantial amount of time.
Absolutely.
And you think how much more back then they had to spend time thinking and preparing. They couldn't just go pull something out of the fridge and thaw it out for the next day and whip it up. Like they was having to kill,
Whip it up.
skin, whatever it was. So,
Whip it up.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it was even more significant for them on the time aspect there. But yeah, there's when you do that, you realize when you're hungry, you think about, oh man, I need to get something to eat, and then you think about why you're hungry, and it does keep your mind on God more, because of the urge to eat, you know. And there's ways to do it right and ways to do it wrong. When you go around telling everybody, "Hey, bub, I'm fasting today,"
Right.
then you're doing it for the wrong reasons, you know. And so there's scripture that talks about that too, and you probably know that, Alyssa. Maybe you've cited some of the scripture. It may be in some of that you cited, but yeah, you don't want to, you know. Obviously, you probably have to tell your wife or your spouse about it because they're preparing meals or whatever for the evening for the duration that you're doing it. But beyond that, really, nobody needs to know about it. And nowadays, these churches a lot of them do what they call a corporate fast.
Yeah.
And I don't know about that. But, I mean, I know churches that do it, but I've not found many really biblical accounts of public corporate fasting. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but I don't know about that.
No, I think it's a great question, Alyssa, and
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of benefits to it. And if you haven't fasted, it was one of the first things that I did after I received the gift of salvation. Was do I think I did like 2 days maybe. It's one of the first things I did.
What prompted that at that time?
I just reading scripture, like,
Yeah.
hey, there says I should fast. You know,
Yeah.
I was actually on deployment and I did it.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't remember like any significant breakthroughs or anything from it, but it was just something that I did.
Yeah, and you read about it a lot. Like, you know, she cited several scripture, references there, and so did you, Blake. And I mean, you're always familiar with it, but that's not in the culture that I grew up with.
Yeah.
I mean, fasting's not a part of the culture.
No.
It's, I mean, you just didn't do it.
You pray, though.
Yeah. I mean, we don't do it. And, I mean, was I familiar with it growing up? Yeah, because you read about it. But as far as familiar with actually it being done, and no.
Yeah.
I mean, I always viewed
It's
it as...
actually opposite of the American church culture.
Yeah.
What's the
yeah.
American church
Bring
culture?
food, man.
Bring
like,
food
covered
or
dish.
or when you leave the church meeting,
Yeah.
where are you going, son? You going to eat with the brothers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, there might be... Instead of breaking bread, we need to put away the bread.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I just wasn't a part of... I mean, I've never... I don't know why that is. Probably because it's not fun to do.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do. It's not...
Requires effort.
Yeah, like, I mean, if I even have ever thought about it before, part of the reason why you'd probably didn't end up doing it is just for selfish reasons, like, I'm training for something, or, you know, I got to go do this. Like, it'd be rough without eating.
There's always going to be an excuse not to fast.
Yeah.
Like, there's never not an excuse.
For sure. Like,
I remember when we went on a fishing trip and Corn had decided to fast while we were down in Panama City on the fishing trip. You remember that?
And that's what I was going to say. The scripture she cited was talking about doing it in secret. We talk about food so much. Had you said, "Hey man, we're going to go eat," and I was like, "No, I'm not going to go eat," and like, why would I keep it from you, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying, "No, I'm fasting."
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to lie about it.
Right,
Say,
yeah.
No, I just don't feel like eating. And
that's true. You didn't.
The secret part of it, the doing it in secret, I think a lot of that has to do with your intentions. For broadcasting it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, buddy, I'm fasting.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the way around that is just say I don't want to eat.
Well, we would expect you to say something like that, Chili. We wouldn't expect CB to say something like that.
Well, Corn gorged himself with like a 40-something ounce ribeye the night before.
Well, Chili just constantly decides to do these weird random things, like go keto or like, you know, just over the years, he's just all of a sudden come up with some random thing that he's doing. And I would fully expect him to one day just say, "Yeah, I'm not eating anymore." You know what I mean?
No food diet.
What are you doing? I'm not fasting. I'm just not eating. I ain't fasting.
By the way, every time I go to that restaurant, that's what I eat.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't think he was doing it for the fast. I just had to say.
You talking about Dobbs?
No, Captain Anderson's.
A man will have to be gorging himself on the reg to gain 8 pounds.
Dang.
Captain Anderson's is good.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those few restaurants that are
It's a
well
tourist.
known.
Yeah, it's kind of your tourist, but it is good.
Yeah.
Speaking of you guys talking about how fasting isn't part of the culture and it's not mentioned a whole lot, and the American church culture and all that stuff. I was reflecting just yesterday, actually. My wife Brooke was listening to a podcast with a guy named Francis Chan. You guys heard of him?
Oh, yeah.
He had some mega church, and I was listening to a podcast with him, and it just made me think of how many pastors and preachers are out there, and really all that they are preaching from Scripture, but they are preaching basically the Bible as a self-help book. That's what they're preaching. The Bible is a self-help book. And going back to, I mentioned earlier, I had fasted shortly after, or very, very soon after I received the gift of salvation. And I remember watching. I was watching as much of preaching as I could. Like, I was trying to find all these preachers and pastors to watch and listen to, because I wasn't here in the States, and I was hungry to learn, right? And like for years, I listened to pastors and preachers, and I really don't recall hearing very many, if any of them, like preach Jesus and the true message of the gospel. You want to know the first preacher, Paris James, that I heard that I think really laid down the true message of the gospel of Jesus Christ?
John Hagee.
No, sir. Is Paul Washer. And that was like a year ago. Like, now I'm sure there's been one or two in there, but the one that really stood out, that like, okay, holy smokes, I never heard anybody preach like this. Like, why haven't I heard anybody preach like what he's saying is like, this is it, man. I've been saved for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, John Hagee is one of the guys that I would listen to shortly after I was saved. That all of his sermons are topical. The blood moons, so and so.
Well, you also got different. Like you're talking about Paul Washer as an evangelical preacher. And then these other people are pastors preaching to the same people every single Sunday. So Paul Washer has this message of that he's going out and he's sharing the different groups every time, and his message is just the gospel. That is his message. But a pastor is teaching on all different areas of the Bible. So I think that, and even I don't think Francis Chan is a self-help pastor. Like, I like Francis Chan.
Well, the podcast I listened to of him, he literally sounded like a self-help counselor. But that was one conversation with him.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, his actions would show that like, he had that big mega church out in California.
Away from it, didn't he?
And he said that God convicted him that, like, that's not how church should be. So he disbanded it and moved to India, moved his whole family to India, and they lived over there as missionaries for however long. And now he's came back and since started small churches, or like however that is. But there are definitely those out there, that are doing that. But but yeah, I mean, I think there is different preaching style or different, the evangelical preacher versus the pastor. You're naturally going to hear different messages. And if you were just sharing the gospel every single Sunday, that helps a lot of people, and it's enough. But there is so much more in the Bible that God has given us to help us through life rather than just the gospel. If not, why are all the books in there? They all do point to the same thing, but why do we have all the books?
Yeah, to me, the trap, I guess, that it seems like you would fall into and does happen with, when you are a pastor. So you're leading a congregation, and every week you deliver. It's like it becomes just your weekly speaking engagement.
Yeah.
That's kind of just, I mean, I'm not trying to say that somebody is not being led by the Holy Spirit when coming up with that week or that month's lessons, but it's just like it becomes, well, here's what we're going to talk about this week. Here's my weekly speaking engagement. It's like, that's just not, I don't know. It seems like that's deviating away from kind of, even if your sermon week to week is not the exact same and it's just a full presentation of the gospel, it could always be pointing to that.
Yeah.
Like it's always, it's going through the Bible with that in mind.
That's it, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Instead of like, I mean, I really feel like the weekly speaking engagement, like I like to call it, is what happens.
Here's the 5 keys to successful marriage.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then they pull a bunch of scriptures out.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I don't care about that. Like, that's not, I don't need to hear your opinion on.
The one key to the successful marriage is that you both know the Lord and serve the Lord. But there are other things that you can do that you can talk about in that vein.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I do think that's the self-help, like you said. Like, the 5 keys to this.
I'll write a book here
3
soon.
things, and you got this. And
yeah,
that's good, man. Yeah, I also have about arrived to the conclusion that no man can wield power and popularity and influence.
Yeah.
Not a single man can wield it. I'm about to come to that conclusion. All right, Super Chats. Thank you guys for tuning in, by the way. Don't forget about our sponsor here, our partner, actually, Drink HOIST.
Yeah,
DrinkHoist.com.
if you got after it, you can have one.
Don't forget about the new podcast that we have also on Patreon for our patrons, the Comms Check, weekly Comms Check. And Blake, you talked about we're moving that instead of posting it on Monday because Resurrected the recording of Resurrected is posted on Monday. We are going to now post the Comms Checks on Patreon every Friday.
Yeah. Yep.
I like that. Monday meeting, Wednesday podcast, Friday Comms Check, Sunday live Resurrected. That's good schedule.
Yeah. If you want all things 3 of 7, Dad, you ought to get something multiple times a week.
That's right.
Yeah. So thank you,
James.
Thank you to our patrons over on Patreon for your support, and I'm actually looking forward to that new show that we're doing on there. I've actually already have 2 topics that I am excited about presenting on the Comms Check.
Topics?
Our lessons.
Oh, okay.
Lessons, I guess. Yeah.
Y'all said he was going to change it up.
I did.
No, it's not. They're not topics. They are lessons that I'm excited about sharing on there. So
We told everybody if you like the first one, don't get used to it because it will be different.
I'm keeping a running list of my lessons now on a note on my phone. So
Well, we had Glades Dan come in at $49.99.
good night.
He said, "Looking like you
what I'm
need some
talking
rest,
about.
Blake."
Oh,
Thank y'all.
Blake was sick
I
yesterday.
was sick yesterday.
Dang.
Now, you got at it with that ruck.
Yeah,
this
that's true.
morning.
That ruck way harder than a run.
Hey, it's after.
I was sick.
You got at it.
Then we had to do that big ruck, so try to get some rest tonight. Wyatt Derp come in at $49.99.
White
Good
dirt.
night. We finally getting some decent money coming through on these super chats, man.
Dang it.
He said, "Been watching for a long time. Thanks for what y'all do."
Thank you, Wyatt
man.
Dirt.
Means a lot, guys.
Kelby Bosshouse coming at $9.99.
Doc Halliday.
I'm running my first at Ultra in September. Gonna run the Georgia Jewel 35 miler.
Oh yeah.
Any of you guys gonna be out there?
It's a good race, man.
Chilly.
That's a good race. Hey, man, I might come out to the Georgia Jewel even if I don't run because it's right. That's our home 100-mile race. It's a great race. And if we're in town, I might come out there and just hit some aid stations and might pace somebody, something like that. Yeah, possibly.
Ryan Russ, 1999.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Come on, guys. Y'all doing it this week.
Good to see the running enthusiasm coming back. I started following for the running content, but stayed for the Christian values. Hard to find that combo anywhere else. Let's go.
Well, thank you, Russ.
Thank you, Russ.
We're getting back to the roots.
Mm-hmm.
We had Glades Dan come in at 1999.
Again?
He come in at 49.99 the first time.
He's getting at her.
He's getting at her.
He
Could
said
have came back in at
Get you a dang
$49.99.
hoist, Glades.
he said Paris James looks tired too.
Paris James ain't never tired.
Probably thought
son.
you was Paris James.
He
Might
probably
have,
did.
Yeah.
James Campo come in at $49.99.
Good night. That's my man James Campo. We just talked about James.
He said anytime, brother.
Yeah, man. Solid dude right there. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. James Campo is a solid dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He really is. He's
Yeah.
got his first 100-miler coming up.
Which one?
I forget what he said he's running, but he does have his first 100-miler coming up. And now he said he's also intrigued by this 4.16-mile loop course. So I think he would do well at one. He's fit. He's strong.
Yep.
Just super quiet, man. Just he's locked on.
Chickadee, 1999. I'm not going to stop super chatting this until you guys Google it to prove Chili wrong. Donna Jean Wild of Alberta, Canada,
Oh, for the
also
love
a
of
grandmother
God.
of 12, earned her second world record by successfully doing 1,575
Well,
push-ups.
you know what, Chickadee?
in
You can
60
Google it all
minutes.
you want. It don't make it true.
Chickadee, you know what you can do with that information? You just take that, wad it up into a ball, bend over, and stick it up your butthole.
Dang.
Good
Yeah.
grief,
What you
son.
can do with that.
What's wrong with you today, man? You need to lose that 10 or 12 pounds you got.
15.
Coming in here with that on a dang super chat. Stick that up your freaking butthole. Chickadee.
We had Brian Burris come in at $199.99.
Good grief.
Brian Burris?
Yeah.
Gosh almighty. Gosh.
What do you allow?
Man just blowed the
Not
sack
nothing.
off.
He didn't allow nothing.
Nothing.
Shoot.
Man, just
Peace out, Girl Scout.
Man just blowed my darn sack
grief.
off, man.
He's allowed enough.
Man's a living legend.
He's allowed enough.
Thank you, Brian.
bro. Thank you, Brian. Well, we appreciate you guys tuning in, man. We love y'all, and Lord willing, we'll get to see y'all on Monday for Monday meeting. Enough said.
Come in with that big box.
He did.